Season tickets, when we spoke 10 weeks ago, you said you were happy with the progress of those sales. What's an update on that?
Yeah, really happy with the. Last year when we including the half season tickets, we ended up about 10,400. Normally, the further you get away from a Premier League season, the more those diminish. I would expect to go down 10 to 12% this year. If we worst case scenario we didn't get promoted, I would say within the next 2 to 3 years, this club looks like its natural season ticket base is between 7,000 and 8,000. That's where it would get to. So right now, we're just about 9.6, I think, is where it is right now. So I think we should at least be at 10 by December, and we might even hit or surpass what we did last year. So the fact that it's not anywhere near the 12% I expected it to be. The other good fact is that I picked up 700 new season ticket holders. So in that database, we get 700 new people coming through the door. They might not be brand new. Maybe they're past season ticket holders who've renewed, a combination of people who for the first time. But either way, it's like good. We're getting new people in, and that's really, really important to me, that we make sure that we're attracting a new fan base so that we can try and grow the club.
And matchday prices has obviously been decided and released. How are those price points determined?
Yeah, I've talked about it before, the Supporters Consultation Committee, which is really some of the fanzines and the fans groups, as well as a lot of people who've just been randomly picked, because I really like to make sure we get a good cross-section of people and that no one person's voice is louder than the others. It's been a tremendous group. We've gone through them, what our proposals was. They feed back to me in terms of suggestions, but it's always a difficult one. One, you want to make sure season ticket holders are getting value. You don't want to price them out. But two, you want to make sure that people aren't priced out coming here. For me, it's all about a philosophy of reward people who, one, make a commitment, and two, show loyalty, which is really how the season ticket renewal program. If you committed early and you are renewing your season ticket, then that's rewarding both commitment and loyalty. If you're new and you're making a commitment, then you should get the next best deal. The next comes in, if you're buying a half season ticket, you should get it. And we will launch, of course, the 6-pack like we did last year, the flexi ticket. Those should be the next best deal. And then, of course, if you're just showing up on a match day, quite frankly, a lot of it is about cost. Which costs me the most money to actually produce? And someone just turning up on a match day when I have to man the ticket offices, it's kind of allocating that cost to those people. And when you're pricing these, you hear a lot of things like 20 is plenty. And when people say that to me, I say, really? Well, what's the cost base? What do you mean? Well, how much does it cost to open the stadium? I don't know. Well, how could you possibly tell me the price of a product when you don't know how much it costs to make that product? I really wouldn't want someone running my business that was going to do that. So it's like going to the petrol forecourt and saying, pound a liter is plenty. Like, what do you mean? It costs me £1.04. Doesn't matter. I do a lot of traveling. I've got my family. Budget's tight. I shouldn't pay more than £1. It's like, but it cost me £1.04. It's like, well, a pound per liter is sweeter. Well, it has to be that because it rhymes. You can't. It doesn't. You have to take into effect the cost. And probably, if anything, maybe that's something I should talk about today. Is people don't really know how much does it cost to open the stadium. I can't go into some of the contracts because obviously there's confidentiality provisions like with us and the cleaners, but it's not a small amount. Just looking at the police stewarding and the traffic management orders, which is the road closures, and if anybody didn't know, we have to pay for those for ourselves, and the license, they're actually doing it, putting the cones out, manning it, the whole thing. That's the best part of £1 million. So you've got that, and that's before, that's not talking about the ground staff or anybody else. That's just stewarding, police, and traffic management order. That's bam. People think, looking at rates, utilities, electricity. Water bill here is tremendously expensive because the pitch requires a lot of water. It's not so much the actual water going in, but you pay drainage fees as well when you're a football club. You're looking at $350 for that. And you pay your rates. And remember, I said we have to pay the police as well, so the rates don't count towards that. The rubbish doesn't get picked up. We have to pay that. That's almost $1,000 a game to get the rubbish taken out. So by the time you start throwing in, all those types of things, you throw the media department salaries in there, and it skyrockets. I bet you cut that. I bet you edit that out. No, but really, you get operational costs when you throw in the stadium, 2 training grounds. You're looking at somewhere between $7 and $8 million. I'm trying to get it down to close to $7 million as I possibly can. But The ticketing revenue, which is our second biggest source of revenue, biggest source is, no surprise, just a parachute payment. But the second biggest source will be ticketing revenue, and that's just above the 5 million mark. So if you look at ticketing revenue, it actually doesn't cover the operational cost of the stadium. So when I hear 20 is plenty, I'm going, really? Actually, if I got 20 quid net per supporter, I'd be delighted, because our average weighted cost is nowhere near that. Because remember, that 20 that people talk about, that includes VAT. So what would net a club at a 20 quid ticket would be about 16 pounds something by the time you put the VAT on that. There's also another 3% that goes to the league as a levy as well, which the club doesn't get. So you're looking at almost, by the time the club has collected the net money, 75% of it is, almost 75%, has gone to somebody else. So that's probably something else fans don't know or forget, because some people will say, 6-7 years ago, prices have gone up. 6-7 years ago, VAT was only 15%. So in that amount of time, the VAT alone has gone up by 5%. And that's the club not making anything on that. It's the government getting that part.
So there's a greater justification for the cheaper ticket prices in the Premier League, when obviously you have the TV revenue, which is far greater. But when you're outside the Premier League, your ticket revenue is significantly more important.
Yeah, it's a strange, that's really almost the perversion of football. The lower down you go, the more important the ticketing revenue is to you. Yet sometimes actually you might get a Premier League club that undercuts you because it's less of an importance for them, and especially League One, League Two clubs, they must absolutely be thinking, how can I afford to charge any more, because it's a League Two product. But yet, the less money I get, the less money I have to spend on players. Therefore, it's just kind of a vicious circle for them. So it's tough, and I really feel for the particularly lower division clubs who maybe don't have the fan base, can't afford to charge it, and they kind of get stuck right in the middle. In the Premier League, you get you're supposed to have a dedicated fund of 200,000 that you spend for away fan initiatives, whether it's away fans coming to your place or your fans going to another one. Now, one thing I'm a big advocate of. Maybe shooting the gun a little too soon here. I've not even checked it with the board, and we're not in the Premier League. But one of the things I would be quite keen is, again, rewarding that loyalty. If we have season ticket holders that go to away games as well, then that's the people I think, yeah, there should be a cap, and the club should supplement that with the Premier League money that it gets. But that's pie in the sky right now, and right now, there's no sense in having pipe dreams about business cases sometime in the future on something that might happen. I just need to deal with the here and now for the moment.